I'm Dan Kopel, lead designer for the multiplayer part of Big Red 1. This map is Kasserine. It represents a small village outside the Kasserine Pass where the U.S. was trying to pinch the Germans, the axis between the British and the Americans, and they were moving east. They set up in the villages, and then the Germans decided to counterattack. This is the first time that the U.S. forces actually got to fight regular German infantry, and the first time that they fought Rommel.
This is Alexander Conserva. I'm a programmer on multiplayer. This map is great because it's a night map. I'm kind of partial to night maps myself. I think they just look really cool. And it gives you a lot of opportunities to hide in the shadow.
Yeah, one of the nice things about this map is all the different routes. There's obviously one main route, the road through the town, but going through the buildings and stuff like that, there's just an enormous amount of different pathways you can take, so you can come up and attack them from many different sides. So even though the defenders can get there first to defend the area, getting the attackers in there, coming up, they don't know which way you're coming from. So your element of surprise is definitely on the attacker's point of view. The neatest things about this being a night map in the actual single-player game, this is a daytime, a dawn map, and we decided for the multiplayer that when we brought it over for multiplayer, we wanted to do this as a night map. And as soon as we did that, we just fell in love with it. Actually considered changing the single-player game, but then we decided that probably wouldn't be too wise.
Yeah, I think this map's also unique in that, unlike a lot of the other missions where they're more of a traditional Western European architecture, this has got a very different feel to it, a feel that not a lot of people are really used to.
Yeah, for the architecture, we did a lot of research trying to make sure that it felt authentic, that it felt like an authentic Tunisian village, especially outside around the area of Kasserine. So yeah, we went and got a lot of footage off the net and other places to actually get a good feel of what buildings and villages look in this area of the world.
When people first start playing this map, they really think because of the big broad avenue that runs pretty much through that's the focal point of the whole map really. They think that the tanks really have the advantage, but after you start playing this map for a little while, you find that the tanks are almost at a disadvantage because it's so easy to hide in the dark and to let the tank roll by and then just to blow it up once it's gone by, that a lot of times you find people not even jumping in the tanks.
Well, that's the difference between a unit that works together and can have infantry support for the tanks. I mean, and that's something that's great about Call of Duty, and the fact that that kind of feeling comes out, that a tank isn't that overpowering. And like reality, when tanks would go into villages all by themselves, they get torn apart pretty quickly. And you need your infantry support to find those guys hiding in the back of buildings. Dan Kopel, lead designer for the multiplayer. This map is Maubeuge. We pronounce it horribly, we're not French. After the Allies broke out from Normandy, they pushed through France pretty quickly and into the Belgium area. This map represents an area of Belgium near Mons, and then actually into Germany near Aachen. And this is where the United States started running into much more stiffened German defenses as the Germans started feeling the threat of the United States coming into, or the Allies coming into, Germany. And the battle around here, this area was just, they decimated the towns and stuff like that, which is totally represented in this map. It's just one big rubble over the Belgian countryside.
This is Alexander Conserva, a multiplayer programmer. This map is definitely set up very well for Capture the Flag. We're all huge first-person shooter fans, and there's a lot of us that have been playing first-person shooters for a very long time, and Capture the Flag is very near and dear to most of our hearts.
One version or another, definitely.
Yeah, one version or another, but when we made our Capture the Flag, we basically sat down and said, what is the most classic example of Capture the Flag, and we did that because we wanted to do just a regular good Capture the Flag that everybody likes, and we didn't want to try to get fancy and invent new rules or anything. We just gave a straight, hard Capture the Flag.
This map is a conversion of the first map in the single-player game, Prologue. For this, what we wanted to do was we actually looked at this map, we loved the map, but one of the interesting things about it is that the whole Axis part of the map, or the Axis, the base, and all that stuff, actually you don't play in the single player game at all. So it really gave us a kind of a what's behind the curtain kind of a feeling, that during the single player game you look at this and you see the front walls of all these buildings and looking into the site, you see that stuff, but you really don't actually get to see what's going on behind this. We loved the final product. It actually turned out really, really well, and leads to a very big open type feel for the map, but also very constricting some of the pathways, and tons of rubble and tons of destruction, which is, we love destruction.
This was definitely a team favorite map. I mean, it just looks so great. It really feels like you're there. It feels like there's war going on here. And when you get this level filled with people, it is a war going on here.
Tanks actually do a little bit better here than they do some of the tighter maps too, because it isn't. There can be a little bit further away from all the houses and all the cover that the anti-tank people can hold. The interesting thing about it though is that since there is only one way for the tank to get across the canal, that area becomes really contested, and if your team can get your tank across that canal, that really gives that team a bit of slight advantage at that point in time, now that their tank is closer to the enemy's base.
One of the biggest things you want to do with any of the game modes, really, Capture the Flag's no different though, is you want to try to build up your rank as quickly as possible. Because every time you go up in rank, you get an advantage. Depending on what class of weapon you've chosen, you get anything from more ammo, more grenades, to a special weapon. Every single class gets a special weapon when they go up in rank. There's the artillery strikes, there's satchel charges, there's spawning in with Panzerfaust. And really, one of the keys to any of the game modes is, whether you're playing Deathmatch, whether you're playing Capture the Flag, whether you're playing Domination, is to really, you want to build yourself up in rank. Because when you build yourself up in rank, it gives you a huge advantage. I hope you guys have fun, because we had a lot of fun playing it.
Dan Kopel, lead designer for the multiplayer project. This is the map's Turina. It's a Sicily map. What happened here historically was, after the Allies pushed the Axis out of North Africa, they wanted to move their way up towards Germany and Europe, and Sicily is off of Italy, so taking out Sicily and controlling Sicily first would lead up into an invasion into Italy.
This is Alexander Conserva, programmer on the multiplayer team. Domination is a mode that we brought over from Call of Duty United Offensive. It's a very popular mode, one of the team's favorites to play, because it offers the opportunity for a huge amount of action, and that's what everybody really wants now. This map is particularly well suited to Domination. I mean, basically the premise of Domination is that there are 5 different flags in the map. You've got to go capture the flag and then hold the flag for as long as you can. If you capture all 5 flags, your team wins the map. Or if you gather enough points to trip the score limit, you'll also win the map. I mean, that was actually one of the big changes that we made from United Offensive, is we didn't feel that that the Domination had enough of a incentive to be defensive to really hold on to the flags, and that there was too much offense, that people could continuously be running around capturing flags. This map is really exceptional for this game mode. I mean, with its tight, narrow streets, with all the places to hide, with the different levels where you could be in the top of a 3rd-story building or coming up out of an underground passageway. It's really epic. I'd like to say this is probably was my favorite map when we were playing during development, because this is, just the look of this map is really awesome. I mean, the map designer Paul Sandler went to great extents to make this map as realistic and accurate as possible.
One of the interesting things in our research, Paul did tons of research on this map to get it to look like, for both the single player and the multiplayer map that we have as Turina. The interesting thing is, you'll notice in the skybox is the volcano. And that actually was a real volcano going on during the battle. I mean, off in the distance. It'd just be amazing being part of the 1st Infantry and fighting in a city, and all of a sudden looking up and seeing this active volcano. this is definitely a map for that kind of feel too, because as Alex mentioned, it's so narrow, so tight, lots of little cubby holes to hide in. I mean, sniper heaven here like crazy, and that so well leads to the opens itself for domination. Is that you come, you hold a flag, you go find a couple spots, and you wait for the other side to come. You know they're coming because when you start that flag off, they know that you're there. They know you took it. They know somebody's around, so they're looking for you. And then you're just sort of waiting for them to come around the corner.
The center section of the map, I think, is really key to the entire gameplay. I mean, that's where the most dramatic fighting goes on, because it's where all the roads lead. There's the three roads coming to the one spot, and then so people end up there fairly often. And also, there's that center flag that everybody wants to grab. It's a really, really cool place to fight. There's all sorts of niches and cubby holes. There's a really great spot down one of the streets up in the second floor balcony where you can set up an LMG that's perfect for just holding down that flag, or maybe taking some defenders off the flag. This section right here is just where your fiercest firefights are going to go on. So I'd almost recommend saving this flag till last.
One definite ability plus about that is the fact that the middle flag is going to be it's equal distance from both of the spawn points. But then one of the negative parts about that is while you're trying to fight this, it leaves you you have to control to actually win the match by taking all 5 flags. You have to keep control of the 2 flags closest to their base while you're trying to assault a flag in the middle of the map, and that actually I think would be a pretty hard thing to do. I mean. But then again, controlling all 5 flags at the same time is difficult to do anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things is that a lot of times in domination, what people will tend to do is they'll get caught in a little trap. What happens is they'll focus on one flag, like they'll go and try to grab it and they'll die, and then they'll really make it a point in their head that they got to get that one flag.
The other thing about all that is that's why it's so good in this map is that there are so many small. Extra passageways to get through. It's like they don't know how you're going to get to that next flag. You got definitely a lot of different ways to do that, and if there's defenders taking one of the routes away from you, you can always try a different route to get to where you're trying to go to.